The story begins when John enters university, where he immediately shows his giftedness in mathematics. John is a young, ambitious man with a unique aptitude for mathematical research. His obsession is to come up with an original theory that will bring him recognition. John believes that his mind is the key to solving all complex problems and strives to stand out among his classmates. Despite his talents, John has difficulty communicating and avoids social interactions. His main goal becomes to achieve scientific success, but he is faced with the fact that his peers have already made significant discoveries. One day, John meets Charles, his roommate. Charles is an easygoing, cheerful person, and his friendship with John gradually helps the latter to relax a little. John shares with Charles his fears and failures, including his inability to write the outstanding work necessary for academic recognition. Charles helps John through the difficult moments and they become close friends. John continues to work on various theorems and one day, while in a bar with friends, comes up with an idea that would later become the basis of his famous game theory. This theory will radically change economic science, becoming his major achievement. John works on the theory, and this brings him recognition among his colleagues. He gets a teaching position at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. While working there, he meets Alicia, a student who soon becomes an important part of his life. They begin dating, and despite John's social reticence, Alicia finds an approach to him. She sees him not just as a brilliant mathematician, but as a person in need of understanding and support. Alicia helps John to open up, and soon they get married. However, soon strange events begin to happen in John's life. He is visited by a man named Patcher, who claims to work for the government and gives John the task of deciphering secret codes hidden in newspapers and magazines. John immerses himself in the job, convinced that he is on an important mission to protect the country. He begins to see conspiracies and espionage everywhere, which makes him constantly alert. His obsession with his secret work grows, and he begins to believe that his life and the lives of those close to him are endangered as time passes. John's condition worsens. He spends more and more time on his assignments, but he begins to suspect that he is being watched. Alicia notices changes in his behavior. He becomes paranoid, anxious. His condition affects their relationship. One day, she finds a room full of cut-up magazines and newspapers in John's house, which he used to search for secret messages. Alicia begins to realize that something is wrong and decides to seek medical help. After a series of events, John is hospitalized and diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. It turns out that Charles Patcher and all the secret work John was doing was just a figment of his imagination. He could not accept this fact and resisted treatment, believing that everything around him was part of a conspiracy against him. Treatment includes electroshock therapy, which has a severe effect on John. He loses his ability to work on math problems and becomes estranged from Alicia. Despite the hardships, Alicia stays with him. She believes that John will be able to cope with his illness and supports him through his most difficult moments. John also begins to realize his illness and decides to fight it. He refuses medication, relying on his willpower and the support of his family. He realizes that the visions will not go away, but he needs to learn to live with them. Gradually, John begins to return to normal life. Although the hallucinations continue to haunt him, Charles and other characters from his imagination still appear to him, but now John knows that it is only his mind playing tricks on him. Despite his illness, John continues to teach and work on science projects. His colleagues are at first skeptical of his return to academia, but gradually begin to recognize his merit. John faces many challenges, but his will and Alicia's support help him overcome most of them. Eventually, after many years, John receives the Nobel Prize for his work in game theory. This moment becomes a recognition of his genius and proof that he was able to overcome his inner demons. At the Nobel Prize ceremony, John gives a moving speech in which he admits that the most important thing in his life has been the love and support of his wife. He realizes that despite all his scientific achievements, without Alicia and her faith in him, he would not have been able to cope with his illness. John learns to live with his condition and realizes that although he cannot conquer his hallucinations, he can learn to ignore them and continue to live a full life. He struggled with himself over the disease and proof that the love and support of loved ones can help him cope with the most difficult challenges.